Okay, this is day 94 of making little videos of describe a day or thought in the life of Schizophrenic Dominic. I make these videos to describe some amount of sanity amidst the world going crazy and turning things around and saying that I was insane or crazy. I believe I experienced schizophrenia, but it is a reality to be experienced and that I am not crazy or diseased. And as I think it is done to clamp down and neutralize me as a person and treat me with disrespect, as I am considered crazy rather than sane person describing reality. And I have been writing a book. I have put it on my medium.com account and I post it to the topic section of these little videos. And day 17 and day 45 of these videos, the book is titled Unveiling the Schizophrenic Tradition. And in day 17 of these videos, I describe why I call myself a schizophrenic rather than targeted individual. In day 45, I have a 3-minute intro that describe why I make these videos. Okay, so gonna get into a few things today, and I write these little topic sections in here that I go over every day to describe some sane thoughts. And first thing was going to talk about was simulation, and my simulated book on the simulated multiverse. It describes deja vu, and Philip K. Dick described how there is probably something to deja vu that is probably coming into contact with reality or a multiverse. And he'd like to call things programmers, like that there were programmers reprogramming reality somehow, and we were reliving reality as they reprogrammed it. One of the things that supposedly they did was like the Kennedy assassination, like supposedly like in other universes they didn't do the Kennedy assassination, and in those realities the nuclear war happened and stuff like that. And I mean, I don't know if that's really true, but someone was saying that. Philip K. Dick was saying it, and some people theorize those kind of things. And uh, I was recalling a few years ago, I had a dream that I was at a Bernie rally, and the exact moment of that dream, the exact scenario of that dream played out later when I went to a Bernie rally and I was sitting Indian style on the ground waiting for AOC and stuff. I think it was in Santa Monica. And I thought it was really crazy that that took place, and I never really figured out what that was about. And so, yeah, I dreamt it, and then I lived it out later, and I've experienced that a few times, as I've experienced other types of forms of deja vu. And so, I don't know, I don't know what to make of it. It's kind of crazy, but it's one of those weird aspects of reality that we live through as human beings. And so, I was reading about that today in my book. Sorry. Uh, in my Not So Misfit Odyssey book by my Uncle John. Uh, I'm at the beginning of the book. I've just started it, and the Iberian pig has Juanito has just taken the acorn and put it in its mouth, and it's about to head off on a journey or whatever. And so I'm about to flip the page, and I read a couple pages a day out of books. So that's going to be a fun book. Mcconaughey has just decided to go to the University of Texas in my book. He's describing how there was a downturn in the oil industry in Texas and his dad was struggling to pay bills. And so his brother informed him of that, and he didn't know that. He was going to go to SMU because he wanted to be a lawyer and a Mustang and everything. And as it turned out, that his brother convinced him, like, no, you want to go to University of Texas because Austin is a cool city. You could be yourself in Austin. And as this brother described it, you could be sitting at a bar in flip-flops, and there will be a cowboy on your right, and then to your left there will be a lesbian and an Indian, and then there will be he says there will be a midget behind the bar, and that's what he was saying. And so he was saying you can be yourself in Austin, and so it appealed to Mcconaughey, so he started thinking he's going to go to University of Texas. And then while he was at University of Texas, one of his friends was telling him you should really get into film because you are a good you are a good storyteller. And so McConaughey, I guess McConaughey is Irish, right? McConaughey. I don't really know. And I was thinking he's got the gab or whatever. I don't have that, uh, but a lot of Irish people do or whatever. Anyways, so he was gonna go into film, and so the rest is kind of history there, as we've gotten all been able to enjoy McConaughey on film, and so yeah, I was just reading about that in my book. In my A Language Older Than Words book by Derek Jensen, he's discussing how we have a production-based society, and he's describing it's kind of ridiculous that we have squabbles as humanity over, Mao Zedong or Trotsky or Bolsheviks and capitalists and corporatists and fascists and Hitlerians and people and people all trying to take control of production or whatever, but really the production itself is dehumanizing to an egalitarian society, and we are focused on producing things in a mass way or whatever. And so I thought that was kind of interesting that Derek Jensen was pointing that out. And so, it reminded me of my thoughts on sports and how these commentators and how people treat athletes like production machines, and it reminded me of my thought process on how sports is instructive and is treating us all like production machines for the purposes of achievement and all this, and turns us into competitive nodes or competitive atoms, individuals and groups competing with each other for approval of all oligarchs. And it's very instructive of the way the society runs. And now you have a guy like Stephen A. Smith who wants to be president. And so I was thinking, like, I don't, yeah, I'll take him over Trump, but he would have to really kind of temper his tone the way that he talks about people in sports, because I mean, I guess it's going to appeal to a lot of dummies, and we have a lot of dummies in the society, so like the way he talks will appeal to dumb people. And he's a very intelligent person. I'm not saying he's a dummy, but like, the way he talks about other human beings is uh, it'll appeal to dumb people who all want to put people in their place or whatever. Like the sports fans, as this rabid sports fan, like as though they are in whipping boys or something, yeah. And so, uh, anyways, yeah. So I described that in my book, my thoughts on sports, and it just reminded me of the production machines. Derek Jensen talking about how we are obsessed with production and production is done at the expense of life, either human or other forms of life, and uh, that we are so obsessed with the production and we don't think about uh, how it affects us as people. And so yeah, uh, anyway, Stephen A. Smith's gonna run for president. I was gonna talk about that for a second, but I don't know. Okay, so by the way, I'm supposed to be Stephen A. Smith because my name was Steve. I gave the name Steve at Occupy as a alternative identity because I didn't want some crazy anti-communist or something to hunt me down in the newspaper after they saw me in the newspaper or something. I said I studied global cultures and my name was Steve. And then I think Jack Black just did that I am Steve thing, or I don't know, some weird thing like that. UFO book. Okay, in my UFO book, it discusses Drake and Carl Sagan describing where Earth would be in the universe, or in the Milky Way galaxy compared to the rest of the universe for it to see. And I thought that was kind of funny because if UFOs have been coming to Earth for thousands of years, we're probably already spotted in the universe. There's probably already a system to monitor where everything is in the universe. And we're sitting there being like, how will they know where we are? And I mean, maybe I'm sure there's other types of civilizations that need to know that kind of thing. So I'm not poo-pooing it altogether, but it's just kind of funny that UFOs was probably a way to figure out where we are in the universe and stuff like that. All right, in my Never Enough book, describes how Malcolm Gladwell's little treatise on being a standout in your field, and how a lot of people didn't focus on one aspect of that study, which was that standouts in their field all rested a lot, and they rested more than their peers, and they had something called deliberate rest. And so this lady was saying, like, it's kind of interesting that that was just forgotten, uh, about that study or whatever. Everyone was like focusing on, oh, they practice this much, and yeah, to be a standout in your field, you have to practice a lot. And I'm not a standout in my field or anything, and I'm not trying to be. One of the things of schizophrenia is just a demotivating aspect, because you're treating with such disrespect all the time. Like, people don't even say you're sane to determine what reality is. So it's a major disrespect of you, and it's just like something you just get used to, and uh, it results in a demotivating aspect of where you're not trying to excel or anything, and that's probably by good design there, because it results in you just being accepting yourself and accepting things as they are without trying to achieve or something. And so uh yeah, so it probably protected me a little bit. It's like a self-preservation aspect where I'm like, I'm just going to go about my little life and have a little life and enjoy myself and stuff like that. So, but it was, anyways, I wanted to point out that deliberate rest is a part of what standouts do or whatever. Standouts in their field and musicians and stuff, they incorporate deliberate rest into the thing. And I would think in a creative endeavor that you would need some sort of amount of rest to produce creative energy. You cannot be. I mean, obviously, like Mozart or something like that. Like, there's some people that can go 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 go, but like they need periods of where they're just like relaxing a little bit, and so uh, we're not machines or whatever. I think that's what this lady was getting at. And so, that gets back into like the Stephen A. Smith treating people like production machines now he wants to be president. And so, yeah, like maybe temper yourself if you want to be president of all of us. But I guess Trump can be president, and he's all about efficiency and stuff like that. So, what a psycho. Okay, goodbye.